Testing, testing, testing. All right, I think I got it. Okay, I think I have the audio working now. I hope I do. If you can hear me, maybe a couple of you guys could let me know in the chat. All right, good. Thanks. Thank you guys. Appreciate it. Okay, otherwise it would have been a pretty silent live session, that's for sure. All right, I'm gonna kind of go through what I've done so far, and then I'm going to continue on this drawing here. And the last time I left off, I believe I was somewhere way up here, and in the last week and a half, I went ahead and started drawing the rest of this. And somewhere up here, I can't remember exactly where, I think it was over here, I replaced the paper clip that I was using, the sanded tip paper clip, and went ahead and purchased a few of these little puppies here. I forgot what they're called. I think they're embossers or debossers. I'm not quite, probably a debosser. Anyway, and I'm using this one here, which it has a very fine tip, and this one is just a little bit larger, and decided to employ it along with using the low tack frisket film that I cut in strips. And you can see that it's got some of the material showing up through the transparent film here, where I've done a lot of this white fur type work. So what I've been doing here is, and I'm going to see if I'm going to, let's see, I could do it. Well, I'll do it over on this side over here. And you can see, let's see if I can get that in here. Yeah, I think you probably could see that. So I'm going for this area right here. See, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so right above the nose, right across. All right. Besides, I have a little bit of a detail here that's over here, so I should have noticed that. Okay, so what I've done, as you can see, like right in here, in this area right here, is I've debossed with this thing first, and I'm going to show you that over on this side here. A lot of these that I've done here is pretty much the same routine, just done over and over and over and over again, and with just very slight variations to that. So what I do is I look at the direction of the fur. So if you'll, I don't know if it shows up in the camera here. Let me see how close I can get without it getting too distorted. But the direction of the fur hairs here in the Stark area is going in this direction diagonally, and then it starts to arch kind of down in curves like this. So by noting that, what I've been doing is I come in here and I got this taped to let me know which one's the smaller end between the two. I like the real fine tip. Is I'll just come in here, and I should point out too is that if like the fur is going in this direction, okay, it's going in this direction, and instead of just starting from here and working down to here, what I do is I go from here and work my way up, because there's layers upon layers of fur. Fur isn't just one layer, it's actually several different layers. And so to have one layer on top of another, overlapping, you might say, and I had to look it up using my magnifying glass in the photo to see how it was doing that. I start from down here, look at the direction of the fur, and I'm just kind of randomly, but all going the same direction, is I'm pressing into my paper here. And this is Bristol Smooth, no, wait a minute. This one here is not my usual. This is the Arches Hot Press Watercolor. Anyway, and so it's thick enough, I think it's like 140 pounds if I'm correct. So I'm just kind of going in here, and I can't really see what I'm doing because it's kind of transparent. But I just kind of, do a mental note somewhat that I've covered a certain area. And once I've gotten this, so I did this part here first. Now I'm going to do the second part here in this, but in the same direction, and slightly overlap the first row that I just did. So I come in here now, and I'm just going to do the second part, which has a slight angle this way. So I'm going to kind of keep a note of that while I'm doing this, and just overlap a few randoms here and there, but I'm doing a whole lot here. And I've been doing this one square at a time, so I'm trying not to get it into this other area here. So now there's one row, there's two rows, and now I'm looking at this. I'm going to break this up to a third row right here, and look at the direction is this way. So I want, and I'm making sure it overlaps the last one I just did, the last row. Then I'm going to go back over it again, because I'm sure I don't have as much hair as I need. So this just a few times, just like that. And then I'm going to make this part here my fourth and final layer of fur. And so again, overlapping the last one I just did. And now I'm going to make a disclaimer again, and that is that drawing fur is pretty much new to me. And when I started from here and working my way across, I would say every 2 or 3 grid squares over, I changed my technique, because I started to find that something was looking a little better than another, or was a little simpler than another, or whatever, and improving upon what I was doing. And it wasn't until like over here where you can see some of these really white fine hairlines, I started using like the paper clip and sanded that down and was doing the debossing with that. And then I was doing base layers. One time I was doing base layers with graphite, light graphite. Then I went to dark graphite. Then I went to charcoal. Then I went back to dark graphite, depending on, So the whole thing has been kind of an experiment for me. And what I'm happy about is, although I keep experimenting, I have managed to keep the whole drawing somewhat contiguous, that it doesn't look like I've been jumping from one different method to another, but I have been. And I'm hoping that by the time I'm done with this lion, I would have settled on my preferred way of drawing fur. But right now, I'm still trying different things out, and this method here, using this rather than the paper clip, I started somewhere up here. So yeah, it looks like right there is where I started. So I did 1.5 rows pretty much with this, and this was the paper clip here, and so forth and so on. Anyway, so I've just laid down these. Robin, I see you've written stylus, and I'm not. It could be a stylus, I don't know, but when I purchased this or searched for it, it didn't go under stylus. It went under a debosser. So that's what I call it, because that's what it said on when I did the search and when I bought it. It called it a debosser set. So anyway, I mean, a stylus, debosser, I don't know. Okay, so what I'm going to do now that I've got this um, so-called debossing thing done here, the pressing into the paper, now I'm going to go over and looking over here, I can see, okay, I have my dark area of the fur is this upper third. It's lighter here, and then it goes dark here again. So this is what I've been doing in light of that. For the dark area, I've been using this just a charcoal pencil. Not quite sure. Let's see. I'll find the case for this. It was Marie's. It's soft. Okay, so this is soft, and I just kind of going in here for, let's say, this third area here. So I'm going to come in here and just glide my charcoal pencil across the paper around this shape here, somewhat like that, just to put this base down and make those white lines start to appear. You should be able to see them start to appear underneath. And that's okay, so that's that area. And then I have this dark area over here as well. So I'll go in here and I'm not too worried about being perfect. It's just general laying down, general dark area here. Okay, so I got that down in here. And one of the nice thing about drawing fur is you don't have to be exact. And I'm not even going to try to be exact. But if I could get it roughly looking the same, well, then that'd be great. Okay, so there's the two tones here, this tone here and this tone here. And now for the lighter area, this part that's actually going to end up being very light, I'm not going to use the soft charcoal. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use something like this 2B pencil and lay down a light graphite. I've been using my darker graphites too. Um, it all depends how much I want to show up between the hairs itself, like right in between these white hairs. That's the tone that I want to achieve to faintly show up. But in this case here, I think the 2B should be dark enough. If not, I can go a little darker, but I'm going to start with this. That's what I normally do and work my way up. You should be able to see the white hairs through here, but this is only my first layer, so I'm going to end up blending and then putting a new layer in and taking those, or getting those white lines to show up through using my tape or film, I should say. All right, so now that I've done that, I've got my blender and I'm going to just start blending. And what I like about using the two different tone pencils, the dark charcoal one and the lighter graphite, is it also kind of contributes, in my opinion, it contributes to the different tones that tend to alternate in the fur itself. So even though I'm nowhere near finished making the fur the way I want it to in this particular square, it already starts to look like part of a lion, which I think is pretty cool. So these are some of the things that I kind of figured out by, experimenting. One of the biggest reasons I didn't do a live session last week is because I wanted to do most of this off camera because I really didn't have anything solid more to offer you guys watching while I'm sitting here experimenting and trying all kinds of goofy ways of doing things and not, hopefully not ruining my lion portrait. And another thing too is when you have these different grid squares, if you're doing it once, when I draw a portrait of a person, for example, if you've seen my live videos or my live drawings, whatever, I don't go square by square by square. This is not, I use the squares to put the initial drawing down, and then that's it, and then I'm done with it, and then I start doing wide areas of blending and whatever. But because I don't know how or haven't been drawing fur, I decided to do this square by square to give me time to try to figure out how to go about it. And in the process, I found that as I did that, I had to somehow make one square connect to the one above it so it didn't look like it was changing from one to the next to the next. And then you start looking at, this is a bunch of squares. I didn't want that to happen. So here it should be that you should not be able to see it, the transition from one square to another, but you should be able to see it here because I have yet to make the connection between here and here. So that's one of the things that has to be done, is have to come in here and overlap by coming into the other square a little bit, you know, blending up there a little bit, and then you're going to take it out and kind of diffuse any demarcation between the two. All right, now that I've done this initial, this is an initial layer, what I want to do now is I'm going to take this film here, this low-tech frisket film, and I'm going to focus first off in the area that is all nice and white and pillowy here before I start taking out a few in the charcoal areas here and here. So I'll just come in here like so, and I'm just going to come in and do this. And I don't care if they overlap, that's fine. It just adds to it. And I'm going to go and cross the border line into the square right above it to make sure that I can diffuse the two, or fuse them if you want to use that term. I'm going to clean up here a little bit, just kind of clean that up. All right, so now there's few whites, highlights coming through the dark areas, so I'm just going to kind of, oh, and I should say I'm not pressing on this, okay, like I did initially, because I just want to lift. So don't press. You're not trying to put more lines in. If you press, you're going to press the charcoal or the graphite into the paper and you won't be able to lift it. So don't do that. So I'm just going all over the top. All right, so that's my initial. And now I got to do it again. So back with the dark charcoal again. I probably went too far down here. I shouldn't have done that, but that's okay. It's not going to kill me. And I'm going to bleed up above a little bit here just to make that connection that I see here. Just a few little lines here and there to blend the twos together, two squares. So it doesn't look like they're separated by a square line. I want to get some more of this charcoal down. All right, I think I got that there. All right. And I'm going to go a little bit darker here on the graphite. Even though this does look like it's okay, I'm going to put a little bit more down. I'm going to take it all off, but I'm going to put a little bit more down here with the 4B. All right, I think it's starting to look pretty good. I'm going to blend again. And now the graphite area here. Get that all blended in. All right. Once again, I'm going to take my little tape here and I'm going to start taking out all the light areas here that I want. Those are the details. So there's a few right here that I want. Okay, give me a sticky side. Okay, there's over here. Over here. Definitely all this has got to go. All this has got to go here. Okay, need some more sticky. So, fill me a new one. All right, and looking closely where all this white is, that's what I'm going to focus on here. Okay, now I've got to start overlapping a few of them into this dark area here because it's not that dark. Okay, get that layer in there. That looks good. There's white line through here. Okay, there's white down here. Definitely want to get that. Over here. Okay. Over here. Then all right. Okay, now this area here needs some attention. Needs to be a little more taken by the white here, especially this part here. It's too white. I mean, too dark. All right, in here. All right, and you have fur. Okay. Now I'm going to start working on the details here in a second. As soon as I just get some of these going here. Okay. Okay, down here. Okay. See this area here. It's got to get lighter. Okay, I think that's starting to look pretty good right there. Let me get right here. And then up here. Okay. All right. I think I got that pretty good. Let's see. Okay. I think that's pretty good. I'm going to have to, of course, take some more highlights out of here, but I'll use an eraser for the rest of this. If I can't get that with that. Okay, a little bit more there. All right, I think that looks pretty good. Okay, now you take this extra hard charcoal pencil because it's really good for detail, and you just kind of like, you see these little black areas here, just kind of poking out through the hairs wherever they be. So I just kind of get some direction in here, little detail lines, very fine details that you might normally ignore, but you shouldn't. And over here, this looks like that. There's like over here and over there. And then there's a couple of curved lines here. There's a curved line there. Okay, there's a white area there. I want to put that in. So let me find out exact where it is. Okay, so get that in there. Okay, and then just put that little black line in there. And then over here. Okay, this part here is lighter, so I'm just going to just mildly erase that area there, just mildly, and mildly here, and I want to get that dark area right there, so that way I put a little concentration in there, a little bit right there. Okay, and got that going there. So erase that. Okay, there's kind of a white area there. So let's get that to cross the border here. All right. There's a couple of lines like this just to make the two connect. Over here, it looks like you got okay, and there. With the extra hard graphite, a charcoal pencil, it helps me do details a little better. All right, put some directional lines in here. Okay. All right, well, Got a little Y thing going here. I'm going to get that Y thing, goes up like that, goes up like that, and then comes down to there. All right. And this puppy's a little bit extended. Get that out of there. I don't want it there. And this is a little lighter here. And underneath it, okay. All right. Get the real brights going in here too. Okay. Okie doke. So, kind of look it over here real quick, and let's see. I'm going to grab me my light 2H pencil, which is a really hard pencil, and I'm just going to put in a few downward shadow lines within the hairs. To give it the direction. Okay. And there's pretty much another square completed for the most part. And by the way, you see this used film here. When you have used film and you have all this area here that's got the graphite or charcoal part that's lifted out, if you use this and go over that, it's really good to make random start stops. Like you get hair that's like it just you don't get one straight line, you get a lot of breaks, which really works great for something like this. So I'll like go right over everything, knowing that it's only going to pick up where there is nothing on the tape, and everything else it's not going to pick up hardly anything. So it causes a little bit of randomness, which is kind of cool. And these are just things, you know, you figure out as you're goofing off, you know. So there you go. And I need to do a little overlapping here. There we go. I like that. That looks really good. All right. So there's another square there of fur, and that should do it. Okay. So I've been on here for 40 minutes, and glad it didn't take more than 40 minutes. I don't know if you guys want to watch me do a whole nother one, because it's just going to be the same old, same old. Do you want me to do one more? I'll do one more. Otherwise, you guys decide. that square took 40 minutes. 40 minutes a square. We got 1, 2, 3, 4. So it'd be like 40 minutes, 40 minutes, 40 minutes, 40 minutes, 160 minutes. So it's a little over 2 hours for that. Okay, well, good. All right. So I'm going to go ahead then and call it the end. And thank you guys all for watching. And I'll catch you in the next live event.